Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is March 28th, 2026, and FIFA are set to compensate Barcelona for the injury of Raphinha. And I'm going to tell you how much that is. Also, there's one major doubt currently plaguing Barcelona in regards to a possible move for Victor Munoz. And finally, Bastoni, ladies and gentlemen, has given the green light to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Moon. I'm still away on vacation right now. It's my second day in Scotland. I went to the Scottish Highlands. They are absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful country. Cold, but nonetheless, beautiful country. And of course, since I am away from home and from my YouTube studio, I cannot film, edit, and post. And therefore, I'm bringing you this short live stream with all the Barcelona news from today. This is not a podcast, so unfortunately, I will not be reacting to your comments live. But of course, Monday I will be back home. So Monday, it's back to your regularly scheduled videos and podcasts. All right, let's dive right into the news because as you know by now, as I explained in yesterday's video, Rafinha was subbed out in a friendly match between Brazil and France in the US. Medical exams were conducted the following day, and it's been confirmed that Rafinha has suffered an injury, a muscle injury in the same thigh that saw him miss a lot of time at the beginning of the season. And as such, Rafinha will be out for 5 weeks. A terrible, terrible loss for Barcelona because, of course, right now we're entering a very sensitive stretch of the season, the final stretch of the season, where we're going to be playing 3 matches against Atletico Madrid, once in La Liga, twice in the Champions League, and of course, we also have El Clásico against Real Madrid, and not to mention many important La Liga matches that will determine the fate of this season. So definitely a terrible loss for Barcelona, and right now it's being reported that Hansi Flick and the club are extremely upset about what's happening with Rafinha. They believe that this friendly match, this whole having to travel halfway around the world to go to the US, the travel itself is very exhausting on players. Being in an airplane for 9, 10, 11 hours is very exhausting on the body with the difference of pressure and etc. Plus different time zones. So then you arrive there with jet lag. Then you have to still train, adapt to the new time zone, then fly back. Again, there's the exhaustion from the flight itself. Then again, readjust to the time zone in Spain. So, but they believe that all of this was absolutely unnecessary because it was just a friendly match, which is something I discussed, of course, in yesterday's video. And I do agree with Flick and the club that this is totally unnecessary. This FIFA international break is completely unnecessary. It's very irresponsible for them to schedule this during the final stretch of the season, where this is where fatigue starts to set in. But nonetheless, I also blame Rafinha because he played with discomfort and he should have known better. He should know his body better. He should be responsible enough to say, hey, I feel discomfort. I don't want to play. After all, what are you risking? Absolutely nothing. It's a freaking friendly match. But nonetheless, Flick and the club upset about what's going on with Rafinha. And of course, FIFA will have to compensate Barcelona because, as you know, there is a rule where if a player gets injured for more than 28 days while on FIFA duties, then FIFA have to compensate that club a total of 20,548 euros for every day that player is injured after the 28 days. And there's a maximum cap of 365 days, 7.5 million euros. Now, starting April 23rd, that's when it's going to be 28 days since the injury of Rafinha. So after April 23rd, FIFA will have to pay Barcelona 20,000 euros for every day he's injured. And if the medical report is correct and Rafinha will be out for 5 weeks, FIFA will compensate Barcelona approximately 144,000 euros, which honestly, I think it's absolutely nothing compared to what we're going to lose because we are losing Rafinha, who is one of the most important players on the squad and, of course, the captain of the squad. So even though we do have alternatives, we can have Rashford playing that position. We can have Fermi Lopez playing that position. We can have Dani Olmo playing that position. Rooney Bardaji can play in that position. Ferran Torres can play in that position. Yes, we have several options, of course, but nonetheless, nobody as good as Rafinha. So this will be a huge loss. And honestly, 144,000 euros, well, it's not going to make any difference. Now, speaking of Rashford, of course, that's most likely going to be the natural position or the natural player to replace Coutinho, and this will be, well, his final chance to prove to Barcelona that he is worth the 30 million euro option in his contract. As you know, Barcelona do want to keep Rashford on a permanent basis. His option, the option to sign him is worth 30 million euros in his contract. Barcelona want to keep Rashford, but they don't want to pay the 30 million euros. But Manchester United have been adamant: you either pay the 30 million or you don't have them. So this will be Rashford's kind of final chance, to show that he is worth those 30 million euros and to try to convince the club that he will be worth the investment. To me, up to this point, I don't think it is, because it's Rashford is clearly a substitute. I don't think Rashford has shown enough to dethrone Raphinha from that position. And I don't think, given the club's financial situation, spending 30 million euros on a sub is worth it. But of course, let's hope that Rashford shuts me up and proves me wrong during this final stretch of the season, because we are going to need him. We're going to need him to step up. We're going to need him to cover that position. We're going to need him, to show us that Rashford that we all fell in love with back when he was at Man U, before his slump, of course, back when he came out of the Man U academy. Now, speaking of wingers, we do have to talk about Victor Munoz, because there's one doubt right now troubling Barcelona on whether to move forward with this signing or not. Now, if you missed the video where I talked about Victor Munoz, he's a 22-year-old winger currently plowing his trade at Osasuna, a player that's kind of like the profile that Barcelona are looking for, right? Because Barcelona are in the market for a left winger because they want someone, a dribbler, kind of like Lamine Yamal, kind of like how we have Lamine on the right. We want someone on the left, because as great as Coutinho is, he's not really a dribbler. And while this enters Victor Munoz, who fits that profile, someone as fast, has great technique, has great dribbling abilities, someone who came up through the Barcelona academy, then moved to the CF Dam academy, then to Real Madrid's academy. Now he is playing for Osasuna, and the reports are stating that Barcelona are currently tracking Victor Munoz, considering a possible move for him in the summer transfer market. Now, there are two problems with this signing, or possible signing, of course. The first one is that Osasuna are not willing to sell him, so the only way to sign Victor Munoz is to pay his release clause worth 40 million euros. But the other problem, and this is the big doubt that I mentioned that Barcelona are having on whether to move with the signing of Victor Munoz or not, is the fact that Real Madrid still own 50% of his rights. So in other words, if Barcelona decide to pay the 40 million euros release clause, 20 out of those 40 million euros would go to Real Madrid, and Barcelona are not too in favor of, paying 20 million euros to Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid do have the option to buy the player back. This option is good for 3 years, with every year the option increasing. This summer would be worth 8 million. Next summer it would be worth 9 million, and then the third year and the final year it would be worth 10 million euros. Honestly, given how great Victor Munoz is doing with Osasuna, if I was Real Madrid, I would activate it. In fact, Victor Munoz has been doing so well, he earned a call up to the Spanish national team, where, guess what? He scored a goal yesterday against Serbia. So we'll see whether Real Madrid end up activating that buyback clause, or we'll see if Barcelona decide to pay those 40 million euros, even though 20 of them would go to Real Madrid. And my question to you is, Victor Munoz, would you pay the 40 million euros for him, or would you rather pay the 30 million for Rashford? Let me know down below in the comment section. Now, while we're still on the topic of the FIFA international break, because we've talked about Raphinha, Rashford, and Munoz, we do have to talk about Ronald Araujo, because he's causing a lot of controversy on social media with this tackle that he committed against Phil Foden in the friendly match between Uruguay and England, where pretty rough tackle. By the way, there wasn't even a yellow card. This is a clear red card. Clear red card. I mean, that tackle is right. It's high up, right at the ankle, studs out. I mean, he almost breaks Phil Foden's ankle. And the reason I say that it's caused controversy, not because the ref missed it. I mean, I think we could all agree 100% that this should have been not only called a foul, but this should have been a clear red. But the question is, because this is where the controversy comes, a lot of people on social media saying Araujo hasn't learned anything. Araujo has made some very silly mistakes that has caused them to receive red cards in very important moments in the Champions League. And with this one, some people are stating that, it seems that Araujo hasn't learned anything and that he is still a liability. Now, of course, my question to you is, what side do you agree with? Do you think Araujo is still a liability and this shows it? Or do you think this was just an honest mistake and it just happened just like it happens to anyone else? Now, by the way, I don't think Araujo did this on purpose. Araujo is not a dirty player. He's never come across as a dirty player. I mean, this was clearly a mistake, but of course, this is the problem, is that he has made several mistakes in the past that has cost us a lot. So the question to you is, do you think this is a clear manifestation that Araujo hasn't learned anything and he will continue to make these mistakes, or do you think this is a one-time thing? Let me know down below in the comment section. And now we'll end today's video with the big, huge, massive news, the news that you probably clicked on this video for, because ladies and gentlemen, Alessandro Bastoni has given the green light to Barcelona. Now, as you know by now, Alessandro Bastoni is Deco's favorite option to reinforce the center back position come this summer transfer market. Initially, it was believed that this would be an impossible signing given that Inter Milan had placed him on that non-transferable list, but Inter Milan have now changed their mind because Inter Milan have a big financial problem coming up in the summer. They need to balance their books, so they need to make a big sale or a couple of big sales. And well, Bastoni is considered as one of those possible sales that Inter Milan could make this summer in order to balance their books. So this is no longer an impossible signing, since now Inter Milan are willing to sell the player. And as I told you in a previous video, Inter Milan have actually even met with Bastoni's agent to decide the next moves and to kind of communicate to the agent how much he should be asking from clubs who are interested. And of course, as I told you, the asking price right now is 70 million euros. Now, what's the new news? The new news is that seems that reports saying that Bastoni would be happy to come to Barca, that he likes the idea of playing in Barca, are true, because he has officially given the green light to his agent to start negotiating with Barcelona. And in fact, talks have begun between Barcelona and Bastoni's agent to come up with the framework of the contract, things like length of the contract, salary, bonuses, variables, etc., 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 etc. So this is, of course, a huge move or a huge step in this attempt to sign Bastoni, where the player has said, yes, I do want to go to Barca, and talks have officially begun. Now, of course, once an agreement is reached between the player and Barcelona as far as the contract, the length of it, his salary, etc., and of course, Barcelona will have to sit down with Inter Milan to try to agree on a transfer fee. Again, the asking price right now is 70 million euros, which I'm sure Barcelona, or at least I hope Barcelona, will try to negotiate down. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I'm going live in a few more moments, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, guys.